Hi, my name is Ed Jamieson. I'm the Manager of Connectivity and Platforms at Dulux Group. My hobbies outside of work are pretty limited. I do like to socialise quite a bit and catch movies now and then. I still, unfortunately, play computer games. 11 years ago, I started working for a smaller company called Lincoln Century. I was working on the service desk as a level 1 technician. It was my third IT job in my career, so I think I was around about 23 years old. So I started there out of fresh, sort of out of finishing TAFE and things like that, and hadn't had much experience, so I got this job on this help desk. I stayed there for around about 2 years and moved up to a position of system administrator. And after a couple more years, Dulux Group acquired our company, and I was given the opportunity to move to Melbourne to work in the head office of Dulux Group. So that was both really scary. I'd never moved city, but also a fantastic opportunity. I sort of always wanted to get to Melbourne, so I think it was really good timing for us. So I accepted the job, and it was a really big change. So I'd always been technically a technical background, system administrator, network administrator, and this role was a service manager. So sort of looking at tools down, but managing a service and managing deliverables and things like that. And at that time it was end user computing, so looking after laptops and things like that. So I sort of joined Dulux Group 5 years ago when I accepted that job and moved down to Melbourne. And yeah, I've been here for sort of 6 years since then. So I'm the manager of connectivity and platforms for Dulux Group now. So myself and my team, we're responsible for the network, the infrastructure, so both on-premise and Azure, and when we talk about platforms, it's the SAP platform, connectivity into that, so our EDI connectivity into our business that we use through a bunch of different means. But yeah, so it's sort of, I like to sort of describe it as the plumbing of the IT. Yeah, so we sort of connect everything together, and with the underlying infrastructure, hopefully shouldn't really notice that we're there, just making sure everything's working. So recently we've had a pretty big transformation where we were sort of a very much conventional network, very small links that were used for business, local emails, things like that. Very little internet activity sort of 3 years ago. And now with the move over to Office 365 and cloud and everything like that, we've seen obviously a huge demand. So we were able to sort of engage in a project and start strengthening our core network. So we did that by bigger links, more redundancy, local internet breakouts at certain sites, and sort of new networking equipment at all of our sites, so that we had better Wi-Fi, better networking, sort of to just allow people to work sort of anywhere on a site, and even for home, like on a VPN, working from home was a big shift for us. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, the Australian government was advised, if you're not an essential work, you need to work from home. So prior to that, the week before, we had roughly around about 400 users working from home, connecting into the VPN. The following week, we had around about 1,600 people, so sort of almost quadrupling our demand on the network. Thankfully, we were able to come through that with no real issues. We were obviously monitoring it very closely, but there was really no disruption to anyone working. Everyone was able to just sort of go home and work from home. So that was a really big win for us. It sort of put to the test everything that we've been doing for the last couple of years. And I think, the business realized that, as they sort of spoke with other companies that potentially were having issues at the time, they realized that, essentially we've got a pretty, we've come a long way, I think. A lot of people didn't really understand the role that the network played. So I think we really, and once we actually sort of sat people down and in positions and explained to them how this was sort of a really key underlying piece of the puzzle that they're not really, potentially in the past may not have invested in, and that, this is the journey that we want to go on, and the network is really fundamental in this. So it was sort of one of the first steps in a lot of big projects that we had sort of ambitions for. So once we sort of explained that to some of the key stakeholders, they really understood that we need to start making some significant investments in the network. And thankfully, we got green light on a lot of our projects. So The last 6 or 8 months has been really good. We've had a lot of projects on and we've delivered quite a lot. But obviously, when all of those projects get green light at the same time, it obviously creates a bit of chaos. But it's, look, I'm glad we essentially everything we asked for got approved. So I love the culture here. I think it's a fantastic place to work. I socialise with a lot of my colleagues at work. I have a fantastic manager and a fantastic team under me. And I think we work incredibly well together. So I think that's really important. I think that we know sort of when to be serious and we know when to sort of have a bit of fun. And I think that's really important to differentiate the two. And